All right, so today on the Soundiron podcast, we're going to talk about Mr. Beast and Hans Zimmer, dynamic duo. We're going to talk
Oh,
about New Year's review versus resolution. We're going to talk about becoming a game composer and
mhm.
more. So, Craig, I hope you're ready.
Boom, boom, boom. Psh. Ready.
Wow, wow, so many sound effects.
This is my vocal beep bop intro.
That was beautiful.
Skip it a pop.
So, to start, I have been thinking a lot about the new year, 2023. Happy New Year. It's too late to say Happy New Year at this point, right?
I know. Yeah, we're like what, almost 2 weeks in?
Yeah, it's way
Yeah,
too late.
it's still relatively new. Happy relatively new year. Come on.
Yeah, it's slightly fresh. We're still in January at least. But the thing
Yep.
is, everyone makes New Year's resolutions, and then you figure out that like you can't stick to them or whatever, and then you stop making resolutions. But my boy Tim Ferriss threw out the idea that it's more important to make an old year review than
Mm.
a New Year's resolution. So I got a blog post from him that says, forget New Year's resolutions and conduct a past year review instead.
All
And
right.
so he says, I don't bother with resolutions for the coming 12 months. Instead, I go through the calendar of the previous year, week by week, and I look at all the things that either gave me positive or negative energy. And so he takes his piece of paper, he gives a big column, of positive and negative,
Mm-hmm.
and he jots down on the pad any people or activities or commitments that triggered peak positive or negative emotions for that month. Put them in positive or negative. Once you've gone through the past year, look at your notepad and ask yourself, what 20% of each column produced the most reliable or powerful peaks? Based on the answers, take your positive leaders and schedule more of them this coming year. Get them on the calendar now. Book things with friends, prepay for activities, events, and commitments that you know work well. It's not real until it's in the calendar. That's step one. Step two is take your negative leaders and put not to do lists at the top and put them somewhere where you can see them each morning for the first few weeks of 2023. These
Mm-hmm.
are the people and things you know make you miserable. So don't put them on the calendar out of obligation, guilt, FOMO, or other nonsense. That's it. And he says, remember, it's not enough to just remove the negative from your calendar. That simply creates a void or a vacuum. Get the positive things on the calendar ASAP, lest they get crowded out by bullshit.
I like it. I like the idea of that because like the resolution thing, like I've never been one of those like this year I'm gonna start, blah blah blah. It's like you just almost gotta like do stuff. Like I feel like those types of things. I mean, maybe for some people if they stick to it, but it's like like we were talking earlier, where people January is like everyone wants to go to the gym. It's
Yeah.
new year, new me or whatever, and everyone's like, I'm gonna get fit, and then February 1st comes around and it's just ghost town.
Well,
Yeah.
the motivation factor of it runs out, and then
Mm.
you're just left with what little discipline you have.
Yeah. So it's like you just gotta do stuff. Like I do like the idea of like the reviewing things or like kind of like what did I do last year? How can I improve?
Mhm.
Or what did I do that like the what worked or those types of things. Yeah, I know one of my goals this year is to get out more.
Nice.
That was something that's like not a resolution or whatever, but it's just like just make it a habit of getting out more, go on hikes and go to different places, check out new spots, things like that.
Get out of the house. I like it.
Yeah, get the f out of the house.
Yeah, you do spend a lot of time in that cave right there.
Yep, yep. People when they see me in here, and I'm usually in here.
Yeah. So another part of the reflection process, the review process, is look through all photos on your phone, events on the calendar, entries in your journal, social media posts, to-do or project management, or any other data sources that you use regularly through the year. And here are some questions you can ask yourself. What were my major milestones or moments this past year? What accomplishments am I most proud of? What are the people, events, habits, or tasks that I look back fondly, energized me the most, or made me feel the most expansive? And how can I do more of this in the coming year?
Hmm.
So those kind of questions I really like. They help avoid the booby traps or the pitfalls of the previous year, and
Hmm.
you can remove kind of making the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
So with Soundiron, we released 27 new products last year, and we uh, also did 12 updates. And
Oof.
so that's a lot of videos, Mr. Craig.
Yeah. Well, you did composition videos for those too, so we keep it busy over here. If you can't tell.
We have a massive year coming on releases this year as
Oh
well.
yeah. Yeah. Get excited. We got some good ones coming. Some
Some,
really cool ones.
some tasty treats.
Yep.
Okay, so I think that sums it up on the review versus resolution. I actually like being a resolutions guy, even though I know it can be cheesy, and I know that most of the resolutions I make will fall off by the end of the year or not apply anymore. But if I have
Hmm.
like 30% at the end, it's okay.
Hmm.
Better than nothing. So you sent me a link. Mr. Beast scores Hans Zimmer to soundtrack latest YouTube video. The video, which features the YouTube star spending 50 hours in Antarctica, has original
Hmm.
music composed by Zimmer. You want to talk to me
Yeah.
about this? I haven't watched the video yet.
Yeah, I started watching. I watched a little bit of it, and it definitely has that kind of it almost kind of reminded me of like some of the music that you'd hear on like Planet Earth or like one of those kinds of
BBC
one of
or
those
Nat Geo.
yeah very kind of like TV score sort of stuff, like Bleeding Fingers esque sort of. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Like, because I mean, he's obviously one of if not the like bigger YouTube people out there. It doesn't surprise me that someone with that kind of pull and obviously the financial backing to like, hey, Hans Zimmer just happens to be in around where I'm at. Let me just, hey, Mr. Zimmer, I got this YouTube video I'm doing. You want to do the music for it?
Right.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Wait, you can do a better German German accent than that.
I like to play in D. That's a horrible, horrible, but yeah. Um, but yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I'm just like, wow, like one of the biggest, film composers out there doing music for a YouTube guy.
Let's both just be honest for a second. Mr. Beast is targeting a younger demographic than us, right? Because like
Hmm.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's very kid friendly. I think it's very kind of like high energy, funny editing, and like the way that it's kind of laid out. I was actually watching as like a small documentary. I think I sent it to you. It's like a small little documentary on Mr. Beast, and I forget his name.
Jimmy
Jimmy.
Donaldson.
Yeah, and he was talking about his story, and I thought it was pretty interesting because he was a very introverted kid. He didn't really talk, unless like he probably like felt comfortable around them or like I think he was like whenever he got into stuff he got like hyper obsessed about it.
Mhm.
So that's what when he kind of discovered YouTube and was just on YouTube all the time, he was just like super obsessed about it and just kind of eventually created what his career is now, which is just being a full-time YouTuber and just and like the whole like giving money away thing or like when he started doing that, like hey, we want to sponsor your video, and he's like, all right, cool, and then he took that money and like gave it to a homeless guy, and then it just like just snowballed from there.
Right, right.
Like did you see that one thing where he took over like a fast food joint and was just giving out money and just giving stuff away like in the drive through, and it was just like
Yeah.
this like miles long line, and like the cops were like, hey man, like we see what you're doing here, but dude, you're like blocking all the traffic, like everything's backed up,
Yeah, you're
you
wrecking
know
society right now.
yeah, and they're just like, oh, here's $10,000 or here's this thing. It's just like, and people are just driving through like, oh my god, like you know most of the time when you go to a fast food place, if you saw a line like that, you'd be like, I'm not going there. But then if you didn't go, you missed out. You could have got some free cash. But yeah,
Some
just like is a interesting character. It's not like I like the fact that he's not a YouTuber that just like tries to be like Jake Paul, where it's just kind of like using drama and just bad
controversy
energy
and
to
stuff.
like more controversial. Like I like the fact that he just seems like a nice guy
Mhm.
and just wants to help people. Like he was doing like the growing trees challenge where he was like trying to get people to help grow like I don't know, like 20 million trees or something, like something crazy like that. So it's like I'd rather, you know, see something like that than someone who's just, yeah, trying to be controversial for controversial sake, just to get viral or whatever. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. And
So I need to watch the video. That's what you're telling me.
yeah, I would say it's where it's like no, I haven't finished it. I watched most of it or just kind of had it playing in the background. But yeah, it's pretty yeah, pretty interesting to see his story. Humble beginnings.
The final product is called I Survived 50 Hours in Antarctica. And it says to create the original soundtrack in a limited time frame, Zimmer linked up with James Everingham and Adam Lucas, members of the Bleeding Fingers Music Composer Collective. The trio previously collaborated on the soundtrack for the BBC docuseries Frozen Planet 2.
Mm.
I really like all the BBC nature stuff. Have you watched Blue Planet 2?
I don't know if I've seen that one. I've seen some of those types of shows. I haven't watched them in a while, but yeah, I enjoy that kind of stuff.
That is like right up my alley.
Are they all narrated by David Attenborough?
Of course, man.
Oh, look at this beautiful penguin traveling across the sea to find the love of his life.
Our planet. It's just so old.
Yeah, he's got a cool voice. I hope I sound like that when I'm older.
Switching gears a little bit, this is proven strategies for becoming a game composer and getting paid to make music for games. So you sent me this from composercode.com
Yeah, I
and
thought it was a
pretty
pretty
thorough.
interesting. Yeah, it's like super thorough and just like because I believe he has a podcast or the person who did the article and interviewing a lot of video game composers and him just kind of like going through all that and creating sort of like, all right, here's what I've learned from all my interviews and personal experience and stuff like that. And yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting, especially for anyone who is aspiring to be a video game composer or do music for video games, which I would love to do that.
Hmm.
That's something that would be really really cool to do. And I've had the opportunity to do some session work for some video games, but never solely composing. But yeah, because I've just been a fan of video game music ever since I was a kid, like just from playing early Final Fantasy games. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting article.
Totally. So he says, like, your first step is to define what success looks like. If it's, I want to make music that could go into a video game, then that's just purely hobbyist music making, and that's great. There's a thriving chiptune community that makes music in the spirit. No game credits or developers, no implementation, no pressure. Just making music in the spirit of classic retro games we know and love. And maybe turning music into a career sounds like a total drag to you, and there's no shame in that. And he says, I want to compose game music as a side hustle. I want to be a full-time composer, etc. So defining your success and then freelance composer versus in-house composer, which to choose. The in-house guys actually work at a AAA studio and have an office job, like a day job basically,
Hmm.
where a freelance guy can pop in and out from different studios and different games, and you could be working on multiple games at once and all that.
Hmm.
And so there's pros and cons of freelance versus salary. Uh, One of the cons of salary is there's very few salaried game composer jobs just floating out there, and there's a lot
Hmm.
of demand for it. Pillar two is honing your craft, and he talks about learn how to steal like an artist, which is from Austin Kleon, an author I like a lot. Everything you and I know about making music, we've consciously or subconsciously picked up from someone else, like Mozart, the Beatles, or Koji Kondo. So basically, study the greats and then steal little snippets from them.
Hmm.
So we will link to this article because it is more in depth than what we cover on this podcast. And also, we
Hmm.
don't want to steal the entirety of the blog post. But it applies to many different genres of work, learn the fundamentals, perfect your workflow, and then it has some more specific things like get involved in game jams and creating passive income, things like that. So definitely worth reading. As far as this coming year goes, we're going to try to have some more musicians on and YouTubers and people we admire. So one guy I'm going to be emailing today is Ben Jordan. I don't know if you watch his channel.
I've seen some of his stuff.
Some of his stuff. One of my favorite videos is how animals hear us, like what animals hear, basically. And
Interesting.
it's really good. Like I learned a lot from it, how dogs hear everything super pitched down. So you sound like a low pitched monster when you talk to them at your normal pitch. And then, like people always do the sweetheart, like high
Oh, that's what
voice.
that,
And
that's what gets their attention. Like, oh, they don't sound like an evil monster right now. So I
the
guess
dog, yeah, the dog responds to you talking high pitched because it sounds more like in the mid range for them.
that's good to know. So that way, like next time you're scolding your dog, you're like, get over there, just like get all like just do your best Hulk Hogan impersonation or something just to freak him out.
Right. So they have like a massive range. 'Cause, like dog whistles are above the limit of human hearing
Hmm.
they hear. And he talks about like flies, what flies hear. It's definitely worth watching if you care at all about sound.
So basically everything that we heard from what was it, those old like Muppet Babies where they're like the mom sounds like wow 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 wow. So that's not true.
Not quite, not
Oh,
quite true.
okay. Good to
Pretty
know.
much anything you learned on the Muppets is not true. Like a pig and a frog don't really have a relationship.
What do you know?
We can move to recommendations. And it's been a few weeks since we've shot a podcast. We had Christmas and New Year's. So, Craig, do you have anything to recommend our lovely audience that you have
Hmm.
been experiencing?
Oh man, just been watching a lot of trash reality shows. And um one thing, speaking of reality shows, well, because I mentioned earlier, I've been watching a lot of Hell's Kitchen.
Oh
Been
yeah.
been getting more into cooking. I recently got a gift from my girlfriend. It's these hex clad pans.
Oh yeah.
I mean, hey, we're recommending stuff, and it's pretty far from music related, but man, these hex clad pans are awesome. Like,
Game
if I
changer.
was endorsed by them, I would be shilling it like crazy.
Like expensive
But
hotcakes.
yeah, because they had a sale. Because normally they're kind of pricey. Like if you're really into cooking, um, I'm not like a hardcore chef person, but
Not
I've been,
yet.
but yeah, like it makes cooking fun because yeah, they're like non-stick, non-scratch. You can put them in the oven. You can, yeah, they work really good,
You
clean
can
really
use
easy.
use them as a weapon.
You can definitely use them as a weapon. They're heavy, dude.
Hmm.
Like sometimes when I'm like washing it and I realize like, why is my arm getting tired? I'm like, oh yeah, these things are like, yeah, if you crack someone in the head with one of those,
It's over.
I'll do a really bad Gordon Ramsay impression. These samples are incredible,
That was
extraordinary.
good. That was good. I just got the hex clad pans.
Huh. If you're not familiar with the hex clad pans, you should definitely check them. They're astonishing. These pans. He says they're the Rolls Royce of fry pans. Incredible.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, man. I'm gonna have to come over there and cook something because
Yeah.
I love Mr. Ramsay.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. That's been something fun. I don't know. Can't really think of anything else.
I watched John Wick 2 this past weekend, and I gotta say, it's quite the action movie. But Tyler Bates the music,
Oh, nice.
so that was good. That was a solid. He kept the pace going and kept it high adrenaline.
A lot of action cues.
There's like 117 people body count in the movie.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
pretty high up there on on that. But if you're into action and stunts, then it's a good time.
Yeah, if you like seeing people just get offed multiple
Yeah,
times in a movie, that's yours. And it's got Keanu.
Keanu
He's,
Reeves,
they should have it to where like every gunshot is him going, "Whoa."
right? Just
Now now
add the
yeah. Whoa,
Ted.
whoa, 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 whoa. Just like all it's like have you ever seen those videos where like I think it's like they instead of a certain sound, they use like Owen Wilson going, "Wow."
Yeah,
Yeah, but they should do that for John Wick and just have him saying, "Whoa."
I could probably take about 3 minutes of that before I completely lost my mind.
Well,
So there's a
you'd
lot
probably
of
have to just
gunshots.
I would just have to turn it off because my stomach would be hurting from laughing so much.
I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, I just got a Samsung T7 SSD portable hard drive.
Oh,
Very
nice.
nice. Very nice. It's USB-C. It's blazing fast. It's a 1 terabyte and it's like this size, which
Let me have
is
it.
oh okay.
I need one. I need another one. That's what I should have got for Black Friday, but I missed it. I was like, I don't really want to get anything for Black Friday. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I need another external hard drive.
Drive prices have been going down consistently. SSD prices have been going down, which is nice.
Hmm.
And the other thing that's been going down is graphics card prices now that crypto has exploded. So that's interesting. Kind of makes me want to build a new computer this year. Might happen.
Yeah. One thing I would like to look into, I mean, if anyone's listening and they want to shoot us some recommendations, but I want to get some kind of like external sort of like backup drive hub thing. Like I've seen those where they have like multiple drives just for like backing up stuff and having like all that. That's something I've been wanting to look into. I saw some, I think it's from a company called like OWC, but I don't know if all their stuff is just Thunderbolt. So I'm not sure. But yeah, I would love to get something like that.
Have you looked into Backblaze?
Is that like the cloud storage?
Yeah, but they send
Uh-uh.
you a drive if you need it.
Oh, wow.
Like they'll ship you a drive.
Interesting. Yeah, I
So
think I've heard of something like that.
you pay like a monthly fee, and then when your stuff crashes, when your drive goes to drive heaven,
Hmm.
then they'll mail you one.
When John Wick comes over to your house and just unloads a clip into your hard drive, they'll send you
Right,
another one.
right.
Yeah. Well, if you are listening, you still have a few days to save on our glitch effects collection. We're doing a sale. So you want to save up to 40% off. If you buy three or more products, you get an additional 10% off. Or you can
Great.
just get them individually at 30%.
What's your favorite glitch or effects plugin on Soundiron.com? Looks like the in that category is just the Juno VHS stuff. And
Yeah. I mean, for me, I would say Glitch Hero because it's got all of them.
yeah,
But if let's say you just kind of want to pick a few different ones, individual ones, I really like Low. That one's got a lot of really cool, like lower sort of like darker stuff. Drip's really cool. Shimmer is really cool. It's a popular one. It's got a lot of like really sparkly, glimmery sort of sound effects. Like if you're
mhm.
doing any sort of video game scoring or like mobile app and you want it to be very kind of like kid friendly and very like shimmery and a lot of little like
Nintendo-y.
yeah, it's got a lot of really good sounds for that. Like you can like it instantly conjures up that sort of like fun video game kind of sounds.
Yep. It feels like Kirby or
Hmm.
some sort of pink and yellow game. Bright colors.
Yeah. It's called Shimmer. What do you expect?
What do you expect? Shimmer is my favorite out of that collection. So all right, Craig. Thanks for coming on the 2023 adventure with me.
Oh
And
man, it's 2023. Oof.
yeah, you got to start
Hopefully,
writing your checks that way now.
hopefully this year doesn't fly as fast as last year, but it
I
probably
hear
will.
they only get faster.
Pretty much. The older I get, the faster the years go by. And it's true what they say. I remember hearing that from my parents and your grandparents. Like, older you get, the years just fly by.
You remember when Christmas took forever to get there, and you're just
Yeah,
waiting for months and months to just you making your lists of what you wanted, and you're just like, oh, Christmas can't get here soon enough, and now it's just Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. It's always
yeah.
Christmas.
I dread Christmas whenever it comes around. We usually don't leave the house very much because it's just like everywhere you go. But then you start seeing Christmas stuff like 3 months early. It'll be
Yeah,
like Halloween for like 2 weeks, and then it's just like Christmas. And then you
yeah.
start hearing Mariah Carey just singing every store you go to. And I'm just like, oh,
That's
I'll
why you
stay
can't leave
home.
the house. But now that it's January, Christmas is over for at least a couple months. So it's time for you make good on that goal of yours and start leaving the house.
Yeah, yeah. I just turned into a hermit for like a month, and then it's like, all right, it's starting to warm up a little bit. Actually, no, it's been still kind of cold, but yeah, give me some reasons to get out. Even though it's been kind of raining a little bit here, unfortunately. So
I've
that's
been
been
I've been trying to get you to go to Landers, California, which is home of the Integratron, which is a very intriguing, uh, mystical place. And they have like singing bowls and some like meditational retreat kind of things going on there.
that'd be
And
interesting to go to.
I kind of want to sample it.
Just go in there and just like start recording all these singing bowls.
Hmm.
Let's do it.
Make a party out of it in the desert.
Hell yeah.
All right, Mr. Peters, I will catch you next week, my friend. And for all the people still listening, rate, review, subscribe. We don't ask for much.
Yeah, just if you like it, leave a like. Smash that sub button. Come on now.
All
You know
right.
you want to.
Peace.